Good evening all, it's 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Wednesday, August the 12th, 2015, the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School. First order of business tonight will be, well, first of all, hope everybody's enjoying their summer. I'm glad to see you all back. The first order of business will have a salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first order of business on the agenda is, after the call to order, is a public comment. Is there anybody present that would like to address the school committee?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, well, hold on for a second. I have a comment about, I think, that's okay. I think in the future, there's nobody here tonight, but I think we're going to have to set a time limit on public comments. So a minimum of 3 to 4 minutes. And of course, if it's directed at the school board, we'll have a reply. But I think in the interest of everybody that's present, we shouldn't, go on and on about a topic that we can.
Do you want that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
That was easy.
I think that the order of business states it very clearly that public comment is public comment session. It's not a question and answer session. It's not a give and take. It's not an explanation. It's merely public comment. I think it's self-explanatory. And as long as the chairman keeps them on track, we accept the comment and we move on.
I think that's an excellent point.
Thank you. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No, I'm not opposed. I just had a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Would you say a minimum or a maximum of 2 or 3 minutes?
Maximum.
You said a minimum.
I'm sorry.
You gotta do Charlie Tom, you gotta talk.
I'm sorry.
I
A
know
maximum.
exactly what he meant.
I knew what he meant.
If I
too.
could,
Me too.
Charlie, if I could as a chair.
Excuse me. Yes.
Charlie.
In any organization, the CEO or the leader does have discretion. So, I mean, if something is pertinent and they want to go 4 or 5 or 6 minutes, that's fine.
Right.
If they're out of order, you can declare them out of order.
Right.
So it's your call.
But I think with this motion, I can inform those individuals that, there'll be a 3-minute limit unless, it's deemed necessary to continue.
We've always had that authority.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we have the approval of the minutes, June 10th. Mr. Tucker.
Move the approval of the regular school committee minutes.
Second.
June 10th.
Any questions, comments, deletions, or omissions? I'm being heard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move the approval of June 10 executive session minutes.
Second.
Any deletions, omissions?
I'm going to abstain on you. I wouldn't.
All right. I'm being heard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. It's not unanimous. Mr. Early abstained. Okay. Treasury report.
I have nothing to report. This is what's in the packet.
Okey-doke. Any questions on the treasury report? Need a motion, Mr. Lesage?
I move to accept
Move
the
to
treasury.
accept.
Move to accept.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gilbert. Any questions on the report? None being heard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Old business. School committee self-evaluation. I have not received any additional ones since the last meeting, so I have 9. And what I plan to do is, we're going to wait 1 more week. Please try to get them in. I'd like to have at least 10 or 11, 12 other members. And if not, then I'll tabulate the self-evaluation and present it at the next meeting. Yes.
Have you notified the members who haven't
We-
turned them
we
in
did the
directly?
last- Excuse me, right?
Yes and no, because some don't have names on it, so I'm not sure
Right.
who I might have.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there's 3 with names, but some don't put the names on. Yeah, so those know that haven't.
Mr. Chair, I haven't done mine, but I will get it in.
Please, yeah, just send it right here. We can even send a courier to pick it up.
Yes,
We have
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Reports and communications. Welcome.
I have some
Oh,
questions.
yes, sir.
We have on our cover page, this here? It says November 11, amend calendar. What
Yeah,
does it mean?
we're gonna do, that's Veterans Day.
What does it mean, amend calendar?
We're going to
Could
change
be a
the date of
different
the
day.
meeting. We're gonna get to that in the,
Oh.
under new business.
Okay, well, it was right on top.
Okay, I wanna wish Ms. Lynch, it's her first meeting. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. In your packet are hires for 2 marketing education instructors, a secretary to the assistant principals, an assistant principal, evening school brochure design, evening school summer 2015, hire nurse project discovery program for 2015, mentors for the 2015-2016 school year, the secretary for substitute calling, summer painters, the 2015-2016 cluster chairs, the John Collins writing coaches, the guidance summer services hires, student health and immunization records for the nurses, game clock officials, a non-renewal of an English instructor. As far as a budget update, there is no budget update at this time. MCAS update, Whittier held a free MCAS summer program for the incoming freshmen and sophomores. There were approximately 250 students that participated in this program over the month of July. Superintendent's update, this year's Discovery program finished on July 30th. We had 2 separate programs of young chefs in pre-engineering as well as our regular Discovery program. All programs were well attended, and our overall enrollment for the summer of 2015 was 319 students.
That's wonderful.
Yes. On July 14th, I attended my first meeting of the new superintendent's induction program sponsored by the Department of Education and Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. I'll be attending monthly meetings and developing my entry plan along with a mentor. I plan on presenting that plan to you at our September meeting. On July 14th through July 17th, I attended the MASS Executive Institute. There were discussions around leading healthy schools. The conference specifically looked at the mental health of our students and what interventions schools can provide for students to help them be successful. On Tuesday, August 4th, 2015, I met with Dr. Jeff Mulqueen, Superintendent of Pentucket Regional School District. At that meeting, we discussed vocational programming, enrollment, and how our districts can work together in the future. On Monday, August 10th, 2015, I met with Mrs. Susan Vaccaro, Superintendent of Newburyport Public Schools. In attendance with me was Brett Murphy. At that meeting, we discussed how to work collaboratively in educating the students of Newburyport about the educational opportunities at Whittier Tech. Today, I attended the second new superintendent's induction program in Marlborough, and today's focus was on strategic entry plans as your first year superintendent.
Any questions or comments on the superintendent report?
Sounds like you're off and running.
And I have one
Yes.
quick one.
Yep, go ahead.
How did your meeting go with Mr. Mulqueen?
Very well. He was very receptive. He was very helpful. He explained to me some background information and how we can work together in the future. So I feel very happy and I'm excited about working with him over the upcoming school year.
Good, glad to hear that.
I would, my only additional comment would be that there's a new interim superintendent at Amesbury, and it might be advantageous for,
Absolutely.
make contact, or just
Mhm.
invite him over or whatever,
Mhm.
just to see, fill him in on some of the issues.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more request.
Yes,
At the last meeting, the school committee approved planting a tree in memory of Travis Yell, who died tragically last fall. His mother has now requested, or his mother and father have now requested benches along with a graphite memorial of him to be approved by the school committee.
oh, my initial thought on that is, I think we should refer this to the policy subcommittee and come up with a definite process. And we have a process, but have a definite policy. I don't know if we have one that's quite extensive
Need
now.
to check. I know in the past we had certain criteria, so I'm not sure if this is going beyond at this point.
Yeah, because
It's a separate request, but basically the same.
I look at this as a memorial, and I think, we're gonna have to have a kind of definite policy, Because once if we set a precedent, then it opens the door, and I think, along with a policy, that should include maybe a specific location that,
For examples of.
that's,
Before we could approve anything like that, I think we would need to see the plans of what they are proposing and where it is going to be located, which would be part of the building subcommittee, and
right,
I think it is a wonderful tribute, but we need to have all of the details before we could possibly go
Right.
forward and do the approval.
And you would need final approval from school committee and the superintendent
Right.
before it went forward.
and maybe we could check, I don't know if, because this is going to be on school property, maybe there might be some state, laws that are governing it, I don't know.
Why don't we refer that to September meeting?
Okay.
We'll have an earlier subcommittee meeting, policy in September.
Could I
Yes,
just ask Mrs. Lynch, we already approved the tree, they want benches, and what was the other thing they wanted?
I can read it specifically for you.
Tribute marker, I thought you
Yeah.
said?
We'd like to possibly have a granite post with Travis's photo also installed in front of the tree, so that when people see the tree and benches, they can see who Travis was.
Okay, thank you.
just early.
Don't we have another one similar to this on site, another memorial for somebody? Didn't we do something a couple of years ago?
So the wall,
We have the Evan O'Neill Memorial.
What did we do on that? I remember there was some discussion, but it went through quick.
well, it was approved, and we had a ceremony, and it was a situation where it was a service person involved.
Correct.
But also prior to that, we've had some policy on planting trees and things like that. We've have a tree planted for a former school.
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, no, I just think we need to refresh our minds, see what's down there, and see what needs to go. And as far as the state, because we could have a memorial plaque, and then if someone decides to put something on there, I think that has to be finally, when we see a design of it, the school committee and the superintendent needs
Yeah.
to approve
I
that
think
also.
that would, to me, and I'm not trying to be negative about it, but the next thing you know, someone wants to have a light there for night, so, lighten up, it is school property, we want to be,
Where are you suggesting to put this?
we haven't had that decision yet.
No, that's no decision yet.
Is the tree already in?
No.
Oh, I see.
No.
Okay.
They want to have a ceremony planting the tree with the benches and the,
Oh, I see.
So why don't we see what we have in the books, and then also what we need to have.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just want to know, is there a sense of urgency here? Like, do they want to do this possibly before the winter? Like, did they talk about what their timing was?
my understanding is the tree was going to be planted over the summer. That's been pushed off. So I don't get a sense that there is an urgent,
It's just
timing.
they want us to consider this, and even if it happened in the spring, as long as we,
Yeah, I would have to check with them, but yes.
okay,
yeah.
okay, I just.
Where was that tree going? I mean, if it was already, we approved it last year.
Yeah, but we didn't approve a location,
Place.
as far as I know.
Approved planting the tree, but I don't
Correct.
believe
We
there was
never-
a location.
It was never really defined where it was going.
Yeah,
All right,
But
thank you.
Yeah,
I was
go ahead,
just
Joy.
gonna say that, planting a tree on our large property is one thing. If you're setting up benches and a
Different- that's a different
memorial,
thing.
I think it was perfectly appropriate for us to say, yes, go plant a tree and work with Harry to find a place to plant a tree. However, it's now seeming to evolve into a more complex situation that we need to
Benches.
study further.
Exactly.
right, good. Okay, yes. Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
What about number 5? iPad update.
Oh, iPad update.
Are you ready, sir? Russ, you just made it in time.
I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Oh, this is perfect.
This is something that you were requesting. Yep.
All right, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. There we go. Hello, as you know, my name is Kevin Williams. I'm the Director of Technology here at Whittier. and I've been asked to give an update on the one-to-one iPad program. In reviewing last year, I want to start at the moment that we handed out the iPads. I've covered the enormous amount of work that we did for the 2 years prior to this, and if you want to discuss that, we can do that maybe another time or afterwards. So during the first week, second week, third week of September, we distributed 700 iPads. These iPads were individually configured specific to the student. So all accounts, all passwords, all emails to the student. So Joe Smith got Joe Smith's, Mary Smith got Mary Smith. There was no student input needed, locked down at that point. I have to mention also the work of my fantastic staff, Lisa Belfiore, Michael Lazaric, and Richard Pacelli. 700 iPads hand-configured takes a lot of manpower, and it's hard to imagine the amount of 700 of these devices, but enormous amount, like it would stretch around the football field 3 times. That's how many iPads 700 is. It's overwhelming when you look at the piles everywhere. And they did a fantastic job. Even Patty Lowell at one point came and pitched in and was configuring iPads with us. So we could not have done it without these folks here. And the last people I want to thank, and the last piece of the distribution, was the English 9 and 10 teachers. They distributed and oriented the students to the iPads, and they did a fantastic job going through a script that we wrote for them, a small presentation, and helped all the students get oriented to the iPad, join into some basic classes that were global so that they then had practiced a few of the steps that they were going to need for the next class they walked into 42 minutes later. What I'd like to do is talk about some of the tools that we use for the teachers and show you actual examples of some of the things our teachers have created. We gave our teachers 3 ways to be able to use a tool to distribute content to our students. One was an app called Shobi, which basically is an electronic inbox and outbox. Give you an assignment, accept the returned work back in, so the teacher can grade it electronically. Google Sites, letting the teachers use a Google website with a template that we created to make it easy for them to really get up to speed very quickly. And lastly, iTunes U, which is a product from Apple that's kind of like a course management system light. Or again, it lets them distribute content and host discussions within the classroom on specific topics. And I'd like to show you some of the examples of some of the work that our teachers, our fantastic teachers, did. So Mr. Alex Falhouly, who's a cluster chair of social studies, made this class website that's built on primary sources for English. So these are documents. I'm going to just run my mouse over here so I can drive it for you. Primary sources, he has a definition here, but basically it's an original document that is written by somebody in the moment historically that witnessed or was part of some event. And in their frameworks, primary sources are a huge piece of going back to the original, what did somebody actually see in 1872, not somebody writing about it 100 years later. Mr. Falhouly did this amazing website. The English teachers are completely blown away. This website literally has links to every single primary document that's referenced in the English department's rubrics and frameworks that they teach off of. It's an amazing, impressive collection of work and reference materials from both the English teachers and their students. So that was one example that we had done. Second, using iTunes U, our English teachers got together before school was out and created a course for the summer MCAS prep program here, putting all the materials that they would need for the students who took the two-week sessions here in the summertime on summer MCAS prep, so that they all had the same materials, they worked off the same book, if you will, and all had the same resources going forward through those classes, no matter which English teacher was teaching it during the session. So you can see here very briefly a screenshot of some of the topics that were included in that, and you can see if we drill down, oh, I'm sorry, I went backwards instead of forwards. If we drill down through this, You can see that now underneath one of those things, there's the actual play and the teacher's guide. And then below that, you can see prompting for some of the class discussions. They built the prompts ahead of time. So now as the student is in the class and they step through it, the prompts are built. All the students go over the same prompts, but with different teachers. And the great thing about this iTunes U courses, their 2-week summer classes are done, but they have this material forever on their iPad so they can refer back to it as they go through their 10th grade year preparing for their actual MCAS 10 test. And lastly, I talked about Shobi, which is an inbox, outbox for being able to hand out an assignment and then get it back electronically. And this graph shows the amount of ins and outs going on. This graph represents almost 10,000 documents, voice notes, videos that were handed in from our students or created by our teachers. We also have a little bit of a dip in the middle, and we did a little research, and we think we remember why perhaps we had a dip in the middle there. As we all go through 90-plus degree weather, it's easy to forget that's what we had. But again, over almost 10,000 documents handed in and out electronically through this. Voice notes. So foreign language teachers, the assignment is to recite something in that foreign language. The student can record it and hand it in privately to the teacher. The teacher can listen to it, make a comment on it, and send it back to them all electronically, all offline, asynchronously, actually not in the class, having to take 42 minutes to listen to each student perhaps. And it lets the student also, in that example, have a little privacy, where maybe you might be a little shy to speak in front of the class in a foreign language that you're learning. That gave them a little bit more confidence to be able to do it in the privacy of their own home, and then get the feedback from their teacher to say, good job, work on this, however they might go. All right, some quick stats. One of the concerns, of course, when handing out these devices is what sort of rate, how they're going to break them. Our breakage rate was below 3%. Less than 20 devices with cracked screens or drops and things like that. All of them covered under Apple Care, $49 deductible paid by the student. So nothing catastrophic there. Again, we're talking 700 plus iPads, less than 20 with a cracked screen of one type or another.
You said they're paid by the student?
Paid by the student. If they broke it, we asked them to pay for it. Responsibility, just like every tool that we have in the building. They break the hammer, we asked them to work that price off. Next, we really did well, I think, in pricing our self-funded protection plan that we created for the teachers, making the entry point a very low $49 that covers them for their entire time that they're here. This plan, the way it works, is they pay $49 to get into it, and it now covers them for the entire time they're here. And then if anything happens, they pay an additional $49 as a deductible for every incident. The difference between paying into this plan and not paying into this plan is don't pay into the plan, covered for 3 years, you get 2 incidents, and then we start charging you for the full price because that's what Apple Care covers us for, is 3 years, 2 incidents, $49 each. If you pay into the plan, we say $49 every incident, no matter how many incidents, including loss. So it's a very well value-priced program, and that low price allowed a lot of people to get into it, allowing us to get a good cushion into that account that allows us to now cover ourselves if something catastrophic happened, if a case where, let's say it was stolen by a student, stolen off-site, not by a student, whatever. We're not going to, in most circumstances, blame the student for being stolen. It allows us to cover that payment using these sorts of funds. And replacement cables that get lost, we've used some of this money to buy the charging cables and the charging blocks that the kids invariably lose and need extra covers of. So really a really good program for that. And lastly, our loss rate was 0. We did not lose a single one. We collected every single iPad at the end of the school year, inventoried every iPad at the end of the school year. We have every single iPad, which will be handed out the first day of school back in their shops. We collected them by shop. We're going to put them in a cart and bring them down to electrical and say, electrical, here's your 10 and 11th grade iPads, carpentry, et cetera, et cetera. So the upperclassmen, the 10 and 11th graders, will have them on their first day when they come back, all charged and ready to go. So what's next? Well, we're really excited for the growth to this next incoming class. But we also need to focus on the teachers who are 11th grade teachers who maybe did not teach classes in 9 and 10 with iPads. So we are providing our 11th grade teachers extra support, extra peer mentoring to work with teachers who did teach 9 and 10 for an entire year to get up to speed, to make sure that they have the tools, make sure we've given them extra professional development and extra resources so that they can get up to speed quickly. Yes, sir.
Were you able to, I mean, some teachers did a better job than others on how they implement. Were you able to identify these higher ones as the mentors moving forward? And then the ones that were maybe could do a little better, you have a program to help to bring everybody up to?
Yes, yes, and yes. So for those, we know who's bell curve, like pretty much every situation you have, right? Students and otherwise. We certainly have those front edge and those back edge. We actually, through a grant, we actually pay 6 teachers a stipend to be named iPad specialists in the classroom, but we also identify those who are not paid, who are more than willing to open their classrooms and to open their time to help folks who need help. Through that process, through the evaluation process with the administration as they do their walkthroughs and things like that, again, those needs are identified if they're not self-identified, and they're paired up or otherwise helped out with those folks, whether it's from my staff or fellow teachers or somebody in the department. There's always somebody there to help them. And our PD that we did this year was all led by our own teachers. Our teachers always say the best PD we have are the ones that are run by ourselves. We opened up classrooms, people just were blown away with the things that the classes have been doing. And we did it in a team manner this last time, so it wasn't just one teacher showing, it was 4 or 5 from the math department showing English and science what they were doing. And then as they rotated, then it was 4 or 5 from science showing math and English and vocational and everybody else. So really integrating all of our areas, letting them see what each are doing, getting best practices, getting that feedback, and finding a buddy so that if they have questions, they can talk.
There were some issues with bandwidth and connectability in certain parts of the building. Is that getting addressed to improve?
Yes, as we go through, we identify those areas. We do have access points in every single classroom. Now, you walk into electrical and there's 90 kids in one classroom and they all take out their iPads at once. That can be a little bit of an issue because just that's the way nature of how access points work. So we are identifying those. We're installing this year a tool that helps us monitor that airwaves real time as opposed to what we had before. Mm-hmm. So we'll be able to see where those hotspot traffics are so we can be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more scientific in how we address going forward, how we address those areas.
Yeah, I mean, very true, but I mean, we've set ourselves up for the potential that there could be 90 that have to bring it up, so we just need to look at that. So I really am very pleased with everything that you guys are doing.
Thank you, thank you. And in the fall, when I come and give the regular IT update, we'll talk about those plans that we have. We have a rolling three-year plan that I have with what's going on with the network. We did some big stuff this summer, preps us for next summer when we do a big thing with there's always a step ahead of the time. So also going forward, some of the key apps that we use, especially Shobi and iTunes U, have had major improvements over the summer. They usually wait for the summertime to up those up. Shobi is adding some global student views and even a student portal for parents that we're looking into to see if it's working. Apple has taken iTunes U and now added the ability to hand in homework and a few other things, online grade books. So all these vendors who are in these spaces are really, every year, again, also making large leaps in the abilities that they go forward with that. We're also looking at assessment apps where it's easier for our teachers to give tests electronically and get feedback immediately from when they take the test, so then the teachers know what to focus on during that class. Imagine first 5 minutes of the class, you take a 5-minute quiz, you get answers back, and now you can see, well, most of the class has this function pretty well, but struggling on this. Now you can spend the next 37 minutes focusing on the things that they need to do. And lastly, We're expanding our usage. Guidance this year, we've completely rewritten our career plans so that they're iPad specific, the tool that goes on that. Same with the vocational areas. Last year, they used specifically the freshman reflection, where they go into their shop for the 5 days, and then they go to the next shop and say, what did you like, what did you not like? We did that last year. This year, we're expanding that so the part that they actually write in English class will also be directly on the iPad. So expanding that out of the academic and vocational areas to places like guidance and things like that. So it really becomes just the way we do business. It's not a special thing. It's just the fabric of what we do here at Whittier. Lastly, I'd love to share with you, we had a visit from Apple. Matt Brooks is the Education Development Executive for the whole Northeast region. It includes Canada. The man is in demand. We were lucky to get him for a day. We had him come in. We had him visit a number of classrooms. He observed a reading and a math class with Ms. Nichols and Ms. Novak and Mr. Withers. And then he met with those teachers, plus Mr. Morelli from science over lunch, and a few of us administrators to just talk about what we were doing. At the end of the visit, he pulled me aside, and he was extremely impressed and told me that, you know, we are, in some cases, 2 to 3 years ahead of some of the schools who have been using it. Like, there are schools that have been using the iPad for 2 to 3 years, and we're at or beyond their level of integration and use. I'd like to play a game now and ask, when do you think he actually came to visit us when he saw this? We had the iPads for 45 and a half school days when he came and visited us. This was 2 days before Thanksgiving that he came to visit us and saw and talked with us and was extremely impressed with what we're doing. He wants us to keep him up to date because as we go forward, there may be opportunities for us with Apple to expand that relationship and expand our experiences and help others learn as we have. Very proud of the work that all of our teachers have done because they're the ones that make this work. I just hook up wires and radio signals and hand out devices. They're the ones who make this work, and they've made it work spectacularly. We're very proud, we're very excited, and we're very excited to see what we do as we go forward. So with that, I'm done with this portion, and I'm happy to answer any more questions you might have.
Wonderful.
My first question is generational. How are the older, I don't want to say old, but the older, seasoned professionals dealing with the transition? And what are you doing to support them?
It's really not broken down by generation is what we found. It's just a matter of inclination. As we know, some people are more inclined and some are less. Our shop teachers, honestly, probably the best in terms of they just treat it as another tool. You're a carpenter, it's a square, it's a hammer, it's an iPad. You use it when it's appropriate. They really had the best, you know, at first, some of our academic teachers were like, I gotta use this to replace everything. And we're like, no, it's a tool to supplement and enhance what you do. And the vocational teachers are like, yeah, it's just really that mentality of, it's just another tool, make my work a little bit better. I'm not gonna replace a hammer with an iPad, but I'm going to maybe replace this 500-page paper table book that they have to go look up the rafter angles on a roof when they can look it up in 3 seconds or less, because that's what the world is today now anyways. You can pick up an app that's just about carpentry and find that. You can pick up an app that's just about plumbing and give you all those things. That's the way they treated it, so it's been fantastic.
Well, that's the requirements of today's workforce too. The amounts of times that are allowed for operations are tighter and tighter now.
I have a slide in my parent presentation that's probably the most important one. It's a picture of about a 6-year-old, and she's holding the sign, and it says, I am your future employee. It says it all. It really does say it all.
Well, I'd like to thank you. I know I've sounded somewhat critical. I just wanted to make sure that we had a solid path, and I'm really proud of the efforts that you guys have done. I know it started with you as a principal, and I know we're going to continue on, so very nice work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
I have another
Good.
question. When we had voted last year that the school committee was going to enter the technology age, And I didn't see it on the next steps, so I'm just questioning where we're going.
They're on a cart in the other room for after the meeting.
Where's our meeting?
Brace
And,
yourself.
and we're getting instruction and support as well.
Absolutely. We've made it as simple as possible and direct as possible to make it, again, efficient. We're actually using the same tools that we use in our classrooms to be able to deliver your content. It should be very, very good.
Kevin, I really want to congratulate you and the rest of the administrators. This was a 2-year planning project before we actually distributed the iPads. And it shows that good planning, weekly meetings, and having teachers really test out different types of programs and apps and the iPads in the classroom and have small little cohorts to really make sure that we were going down the right path. And when you walk into a classroom now, you really feel like it has been a part of the Whittier culture for a long time. And really, it's a brand new initiative. So, congratulations to you and to your team for the great job.
I just want to clarify one other thing. This year, we have 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. So when this year is over, we will have everybody as they come in, the 9th graders, and everybody will be
That is correct.
involved.
That is
That's
correct.
correct. So you'll have one more round of teacher support next year.
Most of our teachers who do 11 do 11 and 12, so we actually don't have a third tier. The way we changed our scheduling a year or two ago, it actually blended those two. So really, after this year, they will be all in the same plane, which is a great thing.
I just want to make one comment. I think that, I speak for the entire board, that it seems that the teachers really were enthusiastic and grasped this. And I think through Ms. Lynch and all your hard work, we're very appreciative of what has done. But I think, especially in a vocational, as you said, a student can get on the iPad and look up the codes of electrical, and boom, there it is, not having to dig through papers, which enhances the teaching, because part of the teaching, is not spending 15 minutes finding a code or whatever. So I think we're moving forward at a pretty rapid rate, and I want to applaud everybody for grasping it. Myself personally was a little bit skeptical that some of the teachers might, it's a change, and some people don't like change, but from what you said, everybody has jumped on the bandwagon and pushed you to do things. Yes, Mr. Early.
Some 3 or 4 years ago, I remember the former superintendent coming to us with this plan, and the board at that time was very skeptical. Nobody knew how much it was going to cost. We really didn't talk about how much it was going to cost. We just said we were going to fund it, and all in all, you came through. But I realized it was a team effort for everybody. But it all started here when the former superintendent brought it to us, and the former principal was also on that team. And it just shows you that, it's not that we took a gamble on it, we just believed in you. And that made a big difference. And I want to congratulate all of you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
I have a couple more questions. I'm really full of questions this evening. How are the seniors taking now that they go going, we haven't got them back yet, but they will be the only ones without iPads. Are we doing things to try to enhance their educational experience without the personal touch?
Yes. So a couple of things. First, we really do push our seniors to get out on co-op. And so their time here in the building is much less. And so there was that value proposition of, do we invest for somebody who is going to spend less time in the building on their year and really be focusing on their trade or whatever they're doing there. And second, this year we also brought in, our computer labs were at 6 or 7 years old. We needed the space anyways. We took those out. We brought in 4 carts full of Chromebooks so that they, again, can have an experience, can deal with stuff in a cart-based situation. Some of our things that we do, like OSHA test, safe serve, concussion testing, those things, they still use Flash, which is a technology which will not run on the iPad. It is going away, but a lot of these vendors, they don't update because they have no competition. So why spend money when they're making money? That will change, but we bought these carts as well to service all of our grades, 9 through 12 when they take those tests online. But again, it also allows the senior teachers to be able to access those things, use them. We also have a number of carts. We used to have them for math, science, and English. And what we're finding is now is those carts are being pushed to the 12th grade. Last year was 11th and 12th grade, and now it's pushed to the 12th grade, so that, again, they have that experience. They use those devices in their classes. Maybe it's a cart-based, they don't take them home, but again, the teachers are enhancing their instruction, and they're dipping their toes in the water as 11th and 12th grade before this year came. So again, really proactive on our teachers' part, really inventive and creative on our teachers' part to make sure that everybody stays engaged.
In regard to instruction, this is very basic, but if you're a home DIY person doing your own development, you are using YouTube all the time. Painting techniques or plumbing techniques. Are the instructors at all using YouTube as the curriculum assistant tool as well?
They've used YouTube far before we had iPads. My number one web filter for the past, I've been here going on my 5th year. All 5 years, the number one web traffic is YouTube, and always has been. If there was a projector or a TV in a room, they were showing video of one short or another. So yes, absolutely. Nothing has changed. It's just now it can become personal, and they can assign it to the student to watch on their own and then talk about it in class, as opposed to spending 20 minutes watching it in class and then talking about it for a shorter amount of time. So,
Thank you.
Just quickly,
Yes, sir.
do the academic teachers have links to the Common Core frameworks or the state frameworks? 'Cause
Yeah,
I know
they
in the
have-
back there's appendices where some of what Mr. Valhooli did would indicate that they could build their own program from either the state or the national core, Common
Yeah.
Core.
yes, they all work through the cluster suit, Kelly Fay and the curriculum clusters and the work that she does. They have all those links, and that's what they build as they work
Individualized.
together off their cluster. They work off of that,
Thank
yes. They actually have intranet sites. They have Google sites that have all that stuff in there for them. So
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good job, all of you.
It all started here.
Sounds like an advertisement.
We didn't think of
All right,
it.
next up on the agenda is the principal, Mr. Leganis. Good evening, sir. This is
Good
his
evening.
first meeting as the principal.
I can get this turned on? Yes. Right, I'll get it. Hello, hello? Yes. All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and the rest of the school committee. I'm privileged to stand here as the next principal at Whittier Tech. I know I have big shoes to fill, but Maureen and I have been sitting together, and as I transition, especially what I'm going to talk about tonight in the school improvement plan, she's seen a lot of me lately. So thank you, Maureen, for helping me out with these plans. If you can delve into your packet, we have the 2014-15 school improvement plan. And we've evaluated, we sat down as an administration and went through, before I get into the 15-16 updates that are highlighted in yellow. I could answer questions on the 14-15 evaluation of school improvement plan.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. On the 2014-15, you have evaluation date 8/15. So obviously evaluation is the end of the process. On the draft, you have start date, which also makes sense. This is when you start at 9/15. Do you have an evaluation date, or has that been left off purposely, or is there a reason for this?
The evaluation date was during the Executive Institute with the administrators. We went through the school improvement plan and evaluated where we were as a team.
Okay, so this is a start date, but you will have an evaluation period at the end of 16?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If we can turn to the new updates in our 2015-16 school improvement plan, they are highlighted in yellow. And I'm just going to talk about some of our initiatives and sort of give you a quick little summary. Our first initiative, state initiative, are DDMs, which are not new to us. We're in the second year of the process with the DDMs. They're measuring student performance and also will be tied into teacher evaluation. At the end of this year, all that data that is collected from year 1 and 2, we're going to report to the state. So this has been going on the last 2 years, and it's been a pretty decent process, and we've worked together as a team, and so far, so good. The next area that I'm highlighting, and we can go back and I can answer questions as well. The next area I want to highlight, which is really due to the fact of the climate of our country and what's going on in the world, is school safety. School safety obviously is dear to me, jumping from the assistant principal's office now in the principal. But we have sent from the state a Massachusetts task force, and I have a huge packet here that Ms. Lynch had provided me, if anybody's interested in taking a look at it, and primarily focusing on our enhancing of lockdown procedures as well as sheltered-in-place protocols. And the other area where recently we've had success, where we want to make sure that our review of the program of studies, that we meet the requirements for the NCAA clearinghouse. So if our students are taking off to play Division I, II, or III sport, they are able to go ahead and play, and that our program of studies aligns and they're accepted courses. And I believe Superintendent Lynch had told me that we did get some positive results from that just recently through the hard work of the administration and the staff. So those are my highlighted areas, and I could answer questions. I know there are a few other little highlights there on some of the updates that we did.
Any questions? Yes, Mr. Early.
Happens to be the question I was looking for.
Yes.
Students will have enhanced drug and alcohol curriculum along with guest speakers throughout the school year. Where does that really stand right now? We don't have quote-unquote coordinators for that. But
Yes, I can speak to that, and maybe Ms. Lynch can jump into as well. We do have Roxanne Grover, who's running that with 2 other staff members. We've started, I believe we've booked a speaker as well, and the speaker is the Andre Dubois, I believe. And I could check on the dates of when the speaker is coming in. And yes, and that program is off and running as we speak.
as you know, that's a big problem everywhere. You know, I believe we should start looking at it and actually finding, and all the communities are talking about it. Some communities are doing more than others, but I believe that's something we have to stay on and maybe get a counselor for that down here. That's their thing, okay? I don't know who these other people are you're talking about in-house, but it's a serious problem. It's a problem that everybody's ducking, everybody around us, no matter who we talk to, family members, friends, it's a big issue, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. You can have all the speakers you want, you can have it all, but I'm gonna tell you, we gotta almost start from scratch and get some. My opinion, we have to talk about is get somebody in here that's their thing, okay? We've got to take it to another level because it's getting worse, and the longer we stay behind on it, the worse it's going to be. And I think we should start looking at that.
We were just awarded a grant along with Haverhill Police Department, I believe Haverhill Public Schools. So we're working together with them. But I agree with you that the drug issues that are going on in our area and also in our country are pretty upsetting. And we do need to make sure, again, making sure that we're taking care of our students and making sure that they're
If it's
safe.
a funding issue, come back to us, and we'll find the money. Because I'm going to tell you, that's a big issue right now.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, if I could speak to that as well,
Definitely.
just to tie in, a big push with all the safety and what's going on in our country is mental health, drug use, and all that. So we're tying that into our safety protocols as well. So it's a great point.
It's got to start at the younger grades. We know that, but we still have to deal with it at this level right now. I mean, this is out of control.
Go ahead.
Yeah, is there any plan to set up an anonymous survey among the students so we can actually get some kind of picture of where we stand in this school. To the gentleman's point, is that part of your plan?
It is in the works. That's
Okay.
part of the grant process, is doing surveys and finding out that kind of information, so absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously we want it anonymous, we want them to feel comfortable so that they can come forward, so we can get an accurate picture, because bottom line, we want to help in every way to give these kids every opportunity.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mr. Irving.
Maureen, in the 90s and the early 2000s, we had the Governor's Alliance Against Drugs. I was involved with it, so I'm well aware of it. Are there any programs statewide and national programs for mental health through education, through the Department of Education, that's still in progress?
I haven't heard anything. I know that there was
I
a
mean, that was a
grant.
going concern.
Right, and there was it was not a lot of money, but a lot of work.
We were training teachers K through 12 in
Right.
Lynn, and we also had the kids go through programs. It was part of their science program,
Right.
part of the curriculum. So I'm just wondering, is that all dried up as far as?
I believe so. I can tell you that the district attorney's office has worked very hard and works with us and develops trainings that we've all attended.
They were involved before also, yeah.
Yeah, so they have really done a great job. And actually, there's a leadership conference for kids in September that we're going to send some students to. So
It needs to be ongoing, I guess that's it.
Absolutely.
A program here, a presentation there is good, and people are aware for 24 hours, and then they forget about it. It's going to be an ongoing program, and I hope you can take the message back to Desi or whatever.
I believe, we can do joint ventures here and partner with somebody. I think we should take it ourselves and try to go to the next level, because look what we've done with these computers. I mean, it wasn't a gamble that we were looking at 4 or 5 years ago. We knew that's where everything's headed. Right now, we've got to start looking at this next thing with this drug situation. And if you could report back to us and come up with some numbers of funding or something, it's something we have to be serious about, because, partnering with other people are great. You're getting a percentage of this and a percentage of that. I believe, talking to myself, I believe we should be the best at that too.
Well, definitely.
I agree.
Thank you.
I think once we get this grant rolling,
Mhm.
I think as Russ said, the surveys, I think if they're done the right way, the students will be more, apt to speak from the truth, and then we can see,
Then we can go from there and you
Yeah.
can plan.
it's the data that we need.
Mr. Tucker, you got a comment, sir?
No, I'm all set there.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just want to, it is important to us, and if you could make this as one of your regular talking points at each of to keep us up to date where we are, so we don't, it's nice to know now, then you come back in 3 months, and
Absolutely.
if you can just keep it, we'll keep pressing, because we'd like to know how this program goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My mentor was Roxanne Grover when I first walked in the building in 1998. So she's always in constant contact in the phys ed department. I believe she's been in the building for 38 years. So she's a good one
Graduated
for
with
it.
me, 73.
So I definitely will keep you updated through the superintendent, myself, and we can go from there, as well as all the protocols for the safety.
I got one question, Mr. Liggett.
Yes, sir.
On the school safety issue,
Yes, sir.
you said you received I don't know if it's an update on the previous. Do they elaborate into a school evacuation process? They do.
So
And do we practice that at all? Or?
that's what we're in process of doing, and I'm working with Superintendent Lynch and the rest of the admin and in getting trainings. I know in reading through this, the difference between the shelter in place, which would be some sort of disaster out there that we keep our staff members, our children inside to keep them safe, or the difference between an enhanced lockdown, which would be maybe an intruder, maybe a violent intruder, or whatever it may be, coming in to where we have to enhance that lockdown. So they do specify the differences between those two.
We have training or practice?
Correct. And we're in the process now in training, all aspects and strategically of the building as soon as possible.
Like I said, I can't stress this enough. We can read all the statistics we want. Statistics don't mean anything. We've got a big problem in front of us. And please look at this.
We will.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
That's all I have. Any
Oh,
other
hold on,
questions?
Dr.
Do
Testa.
you need a vote on the school improvement
We
plan?
do.
I believe so, yes.
We need a motion.
Move the draft of 2015, 2016.
Second.
You second. I think Ms. True wants a second.
Oh, I just noticed there was something missing at the beginning. It was on the original document for 14-15. And it's something that I just noticed, that at the very beginning, for goal 1.1 and 1.2, I just wanted to know, are bi-monthly reviews going to be conducted? And it was left out, I think.
Yes, bi-monthly lesson plans will be submitted. That's a yes.
Okay, did you want to, like, yeah, before I approve the draft?
Yep. No,
Certainly.
we can put it in there and definitely have a lot of experience in that in the lesson plans and moving them over. And if we can't do it, Kevin helps us out in moving them electronically as well, so.
Yes.
If they're going to be doing updates, should we also include the evaluation date, which was also left off of the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the evaluation, so the start date, so you want the start date and the evaluation
Right.
date? Okay,
You have a column, what you got, the outcome. You almost could just throw it in there.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any more questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Leganis.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Now we have,
Thank you.
now we have an old timer coming up.
Oh.
Yeah, what you said.
Really?
Not by age,
Timer or a long timer?
Seasoned.
season.
That's right.
Good evening,
Yes,
Mr.
Ms.
Chairman, members of the committee, Superintendent Lynch. I'd also like to welcome Mr. Leganis. This is his first meeting sitting with me at the table as principal, and I look forward to spending many evenings with him. Hope everyone has had a wonderful summer. It's hard to believe that we're already in the middle of August. And so we come to some of the things that I present to you every year at this time. The first being the year-end budget line item transfers. As you may recall, I brought this to you last year. And what it is simply at the end of the year, I balance all of the accounts out so that they're all in a positive amount of money. And a budget is a fluid document. We make a decision on it sometimes a year and a half before we're actually spending some of the money. So as usual, some accounts are under and some accounts are over for a number of reasons, and I do a cleanup at the end of the year. It is an extensive document, and I think the way you did it last year was you approved it as presented in the agenda material rather than reading each of the names of the lines and the functions. So that's first on the agenda for school committee approval tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
Make a motion to accept it as presented.
Second.
Any comments on the transfers?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
$1.5 million out of whack is our budget.
7%.
That's a lot.
You think 7%'s a lot?
I think so. Just a comment.
No.
When you say out of whack, what are you talking
Well,
about?
it's not being spent according to the way we budgeted it. You know, you spend a lot of time on budgets, and arguing about line items. And I know you have to close everything out at the end, but I don't think we should be $1.5 million.
Good position to be in, but still,
Well, it's not that you have $1 million, $1.5 million of revenue. It's that it's just some lines are over, some lines are under.
It isn't being spent the way it was planned in the budget.
One of the key items that happened, well, there's a couple of reasons, but one of the key items was after the budget was approved last year, the Mass Bay Health Trust went and put in a different retiree pharmacy plan.
Yeah.
That saved us several $100,000. So there was money that we could use in other places. The other place that we had some significant savings is, I don't know if you recall, when I came to you in November, we had been advised of 9 C cuts. They were going to not necessarily fund our transportation fully. So we froze the budget. And we also found at the end of the year, because we had froze the budget, they reinstated the 9 C cuts, and we now had funds to spend. Sometimes we didn't need the same things that we had wanted to have a year and a half ago. Some of it was utilities. We had the roof that collapsed, We had to pay a premium for the roof. We had to pay about $40,000 for our deductible for the roof. If you had been here earlier, we took a walk around the building. We had to spend $30,000 to spend the stairs at the end of the year. That was a safety issue. So I know that it sounds like that, but it really is not unusual
No,
for
it's good to,
budgets.
it's good to hear you
Yes.
defend it.
Yes, there are a lot of things. You'll see next, we had some money at the end of the year. We needed a loader because we had a terrible winter, and the 20-year-old loader decided that it was not going to operate properly around December, and we had to lease one. We had some money at the end of the year. We put a down payment. So when you do those things, those accounts go into the negative, but it's really, as Mr. Early said, a good thing because you're able to do some things that maybe would have had to have come out of next year's budget. So this may happen again next year because we had some funds this year that we were able to pre-buy, and so next year we may have savings in some of those lines. So it's actually a very good problem to have.
But
Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
however, if I may add one thing.
Yeah.
If you look at the details of the $1.5 million on the benefit program, is $750,000. So half of the transfer is, is the health. So we're really like at 2.5%, which I think is not that bad.
Thank you, Mr. Labella. That's a real key point. If you recall, one of the biggest transfers was I did not have a budget for retiree health insurance, but I broke out the expenditures, and I said at the end of the year I would clean that up. It was all sitting in active health, and I moved the amount of actual retiree. I had to move the appropriation, and that's a good half of that amount of money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr.
That, you're doing a great job, no question about it, but about 3 years ago when we had budgeted the money for the roof for maybe, it was $1.5 million, and I believe it come in 300 or 350,000 under, and the contractor did a great job, so it's not that they're not doing their job, it's, things are in good shape for us, and that's why I said, and I don't want to keep harping about possibly funding a position like that, especially when the last 5-6 years, we've had some surpluses. Whatever numbers, you pick those out of the sky, whether it's 1%, it doesn't matter. And I believe we're heading in the right direction financially. But we've got to remember one thing, we're coming to some tough times.
Mhm.
We don't know what the state's going to give us next year. We were nervous this year, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chair, the busing came through for us,
Yeah.
going down the stretch. We thought we were going to lose, I think, 200,000 because they were throwing numbers around there for a while. So, all in all, we are lucky financially. Great job.
Plus, because I think the state senate overturned one of the educational vetoes. So
Yes,
some of that money was restored.
yes.
All right, well, but I agree with Mr. Burns, he's, we try to do our best to keep
Absolutely.
everything close.
Absolutely.
I think we can stay under 4 to 5%
Mhm.
per year, because things happen.
I think
People
if you
leave.
took the retiree piece out of it, I think we would have been under
Yeah, oh, yeah,
5%. That was a big one
it'll
because
be,
I didn't have a
It would
separate
be almost
appropriation.
3%. Yes, Mr. Mansfield.
What did we end up with E&D at the end?
I don't know yet. That doesn't get submitted until
Okay, but do you have
October.
an estimate based on all these transfers?
not at this time.
But you,
But you're not looking at going over the allowed amount
No.
and having to return it?
No.
We're usually right under.
let me just say, we're looking good. Yeah, but we need a motion on this? We have the motion, we're ready to
Yeah,
go.
move the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Next item.
The next item is, as I alluded to a few minutes ago, Mr. Takesian came to me in December and was really worried about our case loader backhoe. It was 20 years old, and he was worried that it might not survive the winter. It did not survive the winter. Unfortunately, this was probably the worst winter we've had in 30 years, and we had to actually lease one for a couple of months in order for us to clear the snow and have this area safe and passable. So what we did was we went and we put out a bid for a new backhoe with financing, because it is an expensive piece of equipment. We did not have a spare $100,000 lying around in the budget, but we did have a spare $20,000 lying around in the budget at the end of the year. So we put out a bid opening, and at the opening were myself, Harry Takesian, and Tammy Dentremont, the comptroller. We did have 4 people who responded to the bid, and Case of New England was the lowest price plus the financing at $86,337.48. We did put the down payment in the FY15 year, and we did know that we were going to have to replace this loader when we prepared the budget for next year. So the second payment of the loader is in next year's budget, and it will be in subsequent 3 years. So I just wanted to report that we got a very good price on it. We had thought it was going to be higher than that, and we did, and we were lucky that we got through the winter and we were able to procure a loaner, and hopefully this will last us another 20 years. Our insurance agent could not believe that we had kept this operating very well for 20 years.
If you maintain it,
Precisely.
save it out.
So I just wanted to give you that information
Yep.
for information. And
Thank you.
finally, every 3 months I provide you with a variance analysis. This kind of ties in with the budget transfers.
Right?
And what you will see in this document is I actually presented to you, assuming and hoping that you were going to approve the transfers. If you can see in this report, the last column says balance after transfer. You'll see that the accounts are either $1 or 0. So it will show that after doing the transfer, it will in fact balance these accounts out. And you will see that there are a lot of yellow lines, but there are also a lot of green lines, and they correspond to the transfer you just approved.
There's more green, which is good.
That is true. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a
Oh, go ahead.
Well,
Mr. Tucker.
just a point that has to do with the treasurer. We voted to accept the August 4 treasurer's report. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the July 6 treasurer's report,
Oh, we didn't do that?
as we did not have a meeting.
Oh, thank you, sir.
They're both
Is there a
in
second?
there, right?
Second. That's right.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, unanimous. Moving on to the chairperson's committees. The August annual agenda items, the school committee review of the improvement plan, we just tackled that. At the September meeting, we will be reviewing it, and updating of the strategic plan. Can we also add in any capital projects with that? What do you think? Is it too early?
It's early.
All right, we'll postpone that to October. Subcommittee reports. Executive, we have not met.
Are you gonna tackle the agenda that you wanna change?
Under new business,
Oh, it's under new business, I apologize.
no problem. Do we need to meet anything right away? Not yet? Executive? No. Okay. Instructional personnel?
Not to my knowledge. We usually meet in October just to get an update. Shall we still meet in October to get an update?
Yes.
We will get an update in October, prior to the school committee meeting, 6:45?
Sure.
Okay?
Mr. Tucker?
Well, we have minutes from June 10th we'd like to accept.
Okay.
Move to accept.
A second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gilbert.
And the plant operations did meet this evening. We walked around and looked at some of the summer projects that are in progress. Some are done, some are halfway done. I don't see a need for a meeting unless we want to have another walkthrough next September, but I don't think we need one at this time.
Okay. Yeah. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. I just mention one thing. One of the big things we did is we put irrigation in on the soccer field. And what else was it? The soccer field and the girls softball.
Soccer field,
The
lacrosse
upper
field,
level.
upper field.
Yeah, so we have hopefully those
Did we
fields.
do any efforts to try and smooth that soccer field out? That roughness is pretty bad out there.
Yeah, so we're putting the irrigation, which has made it a little bit rougher. So then they're gonna have to get out there and once the irrigation piece is done, and the wells have been drilled. And
Yes. It's all well water, so we.
Oh, yeah, no, the irrigation part is fine. I'm just hoping that forces us to actually,
Yeah.
turn over and relay and flatten that out. Because,
It's gonna take some time.
I watched a few soccer games. I was looking at that going, man, how come? I'm amazed they didn't roll more ankles than they did, because it's a clump here, divots there,
It's
and,
needed it for a while.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, thank you. Salary negotiations, Mr. Burke.
Salary negotiations met on the principal salary, and we have a recommendation,
Is that
a
good?
unanimous recommendation to accept the superintendent's figure.
Cover that in executive session. What about the minutes? We have to vote in the minutes? Need a motion to vote in the minutes? Mr. Lesage, second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Murphy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Policy, Mr. Irving.
Yeah, we met in June, but we reported that out, so there weren't really any minutes to that. We will need a meeting, and I suggest on the 9th, September 9th at 6:30.
Okay?
We have to take into consideration that. And also, Mr. Superintendent, if we could have a look, we had the public comment last time. The woman came in about the state, the same old story about the requirements of admissions. Has there been any update from the state? She said she was going to have them send information to you.
I have not received any.
If you could tell us that in September, and also, has there been any change in the admission policy, which I don't think there has been, but at least we can deal with that as well as the memorial. Okay, so is that okay with the other members of policy?
Time,
6:30, I think.
6:30.
I was gonna say 6:45, but I think maybe let's make it 6:30.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Alrighty. Yes, Mr.
I wasn't
Mitchell.
here, but the minutes talked about a review of our admission policy. If we would do that, is that?
That's what we're basically talking about, to review it, but to see if there's been any changes. And also, she indicated that maybe the information could come from the state on her behalf for us to at least look at. So on behalf of the school committee, the subcommittee will take a look at things and report it out.
To accurately look at the admission policy, would it be helpful for the committee to have some information, blind, but average scores per parameter, so you can see how students are performing in each area?
Yeah, I like that idea.
And whatever the
I
superintendent
don't
can
know
provide us.
how long that would take to put together, but we've never seen that, again, on an aggregate blind basis, but I think it would be helpful to see which criterias are getting scores.
So in other words, the 5 criteria, what's
Yeah,
up, what's down,
just
where's the
how-
median point?
how are people
Yeah, the average,
faring within there?
yeah, and the average scores.
Good idea.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a good valid point, yeah. We can work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, on the new business, I have 2 new items. One is on school committee meetings for this fiscal year, school year. November 11th is Veterans Day. So, with a lot of the veterans, of which I am one, I think we should move that either on a Tuesday or a Thursday. What is the wish of the committee on that?
Well, Thursday, maybe 12th, the next
The
day?
12th or the 10th?
12th.
The 12th?
Yeah, 10th's not good for me, 12th.
Thursday?
12th, Thursday.
Anybody have an issue with it?
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter?
Thursday's better for
Okay, so
me.
we're gonna need a motion to reschedule the November 11th.
Mr. Chairman, move the November meeting of 2015 to November 12th at 7
7 p.m.
p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Russ, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thursday, yep.
Mr. Chairman, one other point that usually is not on this, but we talked to the past superintendent. I'd like to mention it to possibly to look at the reorg at April 11th. We usually have it a couple of nights prior to the school committee meeting, and it's usually with budget meeting and stuff like that take place that week. So I'd like to put that down as a date, April 11th.
April,
It would be the reorg dinner and the,
okay. We have to vote on that?
yeah, we
We
should.
do? Anybody have any questions on that? It's another meeting.
The last few years, we've been meeting 2 nights prior to. I know before, yeah, but we've also voted. Exactly, but it wasn't convenient on several cases. We thought it might be better prior to the
Yeah,
meeting.
on April 11th.
So for the last 5 years, we've been moving it, and yeah, you are correct, but by vote of the committee, we have moved it.
Anybody have a problem with
And we
that?
probably should take a look at that also, Lisa, in the policy to see if there's anything holding us to it.
All right, take a look at that, and then we'll bring it up at the next meeting. Okay, good.
For
Now,
April
the-
11th, right?
Yeah.
11.
Yeah. Now, the second new business is I don't know if everybody's aware of this, but today is Lisa's birthday.
Get the
Lisa,
important
you're
stuff.
lucky you didn't say what your age is. So I would just take that with a good grain of salt.
I know.
Okay, Lisa?
Is he on TV?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Oh,
You see the red?
Look at her. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lisa. Happy birthday to you. I was gonna tip you off, Lisa, but I said,
So, what we're gonna do now is we need three things. We're gonna have a motion for adjournment. We're gonna have a 5-minute break because we have to go into executive session.
We're not coming back into? We're not coming back into session?
Yeah,
Let's come back and. So he just said it the other way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Paul.
So we don't need a motion for adjournment. We need a motion
Right,
to
but I'm
go into
saying,
executive
right,
session and
right.
we'll come back
back
into
to
public
public
session.
session.
Correct.
And I'd like to have a quick 5-minute break and to get through executive session so Miss Lisa can go to her birthday party.
As opposed to a
Okay,
slow
I need a motion to enter executive session to conduct
So moved.
strategy sessions and the preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, principal, and upon completion of the executive session, we will return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
no, I'm all set.
Mr.
Yes.
Early, yes. Ms. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde.
Yes.
Mr. Boswell. Mr. Mansfield. Ms. True.
yes,
Mr. Burns.
dudes, say
Say
yes,
yes.
say yes, please.
He said it like 4 times. Yes, Tony, yes.
Yes, okay. Quick break. Okay, now open session. We need a motion to accept the contract of the principal, Mr. Chris Loganis.
So moved.
Second.
We have to state the amount?
I believe so.
Yes, we have to state the amount. Can you state that, please?
The salary for Mr. Leganis would be $133,192.
It's a 3-year contract.
3-year contract with a TSA of $7,500.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second. Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Say second. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll call vote.
Unanimous. Oh, is it a roll call in open session too?
I call for a roll call.
Oh, you call? Okay. Let's have a roll call vote. Yes. Ms. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Irving?
Yes.
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 Mr. Mansfield? Ms. True?
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes, unanimous. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.